Yeah.
Just tell her that I forgot to print. Tell her that a reprint went off. Because it must be missing.
Killing me. Killing me.
I know.
We're on time.
Calling the meeting to order. Would the Chief of Staff please call the roll?
President Lama.
Present.
Vice President Schneider.
Present.
Treasurer Woods.
Present.
Acting Commissioner Timko. Senator Seco. Senator Hipwell.
Present.
Senator Graber.
Present.
Senator Saunders.
Proxy.
Senator Owens. Senator Rises.
Present.
Senator Torno.
Present.
Senator DeVille. Proxy. Senator Holbrook.
Present.
Senator Madison.
Present.
Senator Cananline.
Present.
Commissioner Evans.
Present.
Senator Jones. Senator Ashley.
Present.
Commissioner Romlow.
Present.
Commissioner Mamone.
Present.
Commissioner Apuku. Senator Hartman.
Present.
Senator Eldridge. Senator Ring.
Present.
Senator Smith. Commissioner Chinook.
Proxy.
Senator Ayers. Commissioner Miller.
Present.
Senator Hajavandi. Senator Zimmerman.
Present.
Senator Soto Diaz.
Present.
Commissioner Freight.
Present.
Senator Myrich.
Present.
Senator Hardy. Senator Baker.
Present.
Senator Horton. Commissioner Fillinger. Commissioner Lundy Morris.
Present.
Senator Sloat.
Present.
Senator Jackson. Senator Jackson. Here. Okay. Senator Jones.
Present.
Senator Holtkamp.
Present.
Senator Plotz.
Present.
Commissioner Harder.
Present.
Senator Funi.
Present.
Senator Eliopoulos.
Present.
Senator Cromwell.
Present.
Senator Miller.
Present.
Senator Deering.
Present.
Commissioner Burke.
Present.
Senator Hurd. Senator Thomas.
Present.
Senator Kiefer. Commissioner Clear.
Present.
Senator Williams.
Present.
And Clerk of Court Marachka. We have quorum.
Next is student speak out. If there are any students here to speak out this evening, I please ask that you speak for 3 minutes and state your name, place of residency, year, and major. Are there any students here to speak out this evening? You can state your name, major, president.
Hi, I'm Selena Snyder. I major in math and neuroscience. I have a language, and I
and I'm here representing Community Service Leadership Council, or CSLC.
And my name is Rachel Rydell. I'm majoring in sociology and German, and I currently live on campus.
So I just wanted to talk to you tonight about CSLC. We're a student organization on campus. We do three things. We run the Community Service Leadership Council Roundtable, Athens Beautification Day, and we run Project of the Week. So I just wanted to briefly invite any students and student senate that might be interested in attending our roundtable. I highly recommend that you send a representative. We also do give out the SCORE grant, which recently we helped to fund the Unchained project that Vanderberg and Ellie Levon are working on. So on that note.
We also wanted to first open up the opportunity of Student Senate to be a part of Athens Beautification Day. We are in need of 20 student leaders who would need to attend a meeting on April 13th at 4:30. If anybody is interested, Madeline has our contact information. You can also look out for announcements on our social media. Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
When is Athens Beautification Day?
It is on April 22nd this year, which is a Sunday again. We will also be running the 2 shifts as per usual. We've also expanded this year to Athens Beautification Week. So starting on April 15th, we will have events throughout the week. If you want to collaborate with us on any of those events, feel free. We are also looking for those 20 project leaders. We need people to lead small projects that we can't do ourselves.
What day did you say the meeting for Athens Beautification Day was?
April 13th at 4:30 p.m. through TBD.
And then Madeline Sorensen is Senate's Community Service and Social Activity Chair, so she'll give an update, John's saying, very soon. So be looking out for that. And additionally, if you could send Madeline what events we could collaborate on, I'm sure potentially the Environmental Affairs Commission or the Off-Campus Life Commission would be interested in sponsoring. So if you could send those her way.
Thank you very much.
Are there any students here to speak out? Any more? Seeing none, we will move forward to announcements. Are there any announcements this evening? We'll start on this side of the room. Any announcements at all? Historian Paredes?
I don't know if it counted as speak out or announcement, but it's about another organ we're part of. Is that okay, man?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, sweet. So I'm a part of Defender Future. We're a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization on campus based out of Columbus. We are trying to make sure that students have the ability to call their representatives on their own, like free will, to basically promote environmental protection policy, as well as trying to maintain agencies within the U.S. that promote a cleaner and better future. So the reason why I'm speaking out tonight is because we're just trying to either talk to the executives or the Environmental Affairs Commission to see if there's a possibility to form a coalition of sorts with Student Senate to try and reach more voices and to reach a higher constituency, because we're not trying to be like, hey, look at us, we're an environmental protection group. We're like, hey, help us out so we can help each other, do that kind of stuff. So I'd really like some guidance on how my boss and our organization can grow with students around campus. We also have an event coming up. It's called EPA Spotlight Water Quality. Dr. Perkins and Dr. Lopez will have Ohio River as a backdrop to talk about water pollution, as well as ways that the recent head of the EPA is going against a cleaner environment, and that is non-political because it's an issue-by-issue basis. So my question is just March 1st, and the time I'll probably announce it as it comes closer. But my question tonight is just, help us out, figure out what we can do with you guys. So that's it. So thank you.
And just to respond, we'll probably have you come to a commissioner meeting and talk to the Alts Commission.
Would you like me to get my
We can talk about it
Okay.
after, yeah.
Thanks.
To talk logistics. Senator Feeny?
One sec. As brought up last week by President Ellis and his Director of Presidential Events, John said, Presidential Leadership Society is having their sort of informal-ish walk-in to find out what we do on the 27th and 28th of February from 5 to 7 p.m. in the Major Ballroom, A side. It's more or less like business casual. You just come in, we're going to tell you guys what we do, and then when the application process starts and all that jazz. And you should really come. It's great organization to know.
Thank you. Any, Senator Hushabandi?
I was asked by one of the Chinese student groups here on campus to basically promote the Chinese New Year gala that's going to happen this Sunday. It's from 3 to 7 in Lakewood Ballroom. Tickets are $10.
Thank you. Senator Holbrook?
Giant amount of loss. Not this weekend, next weekend, 24th and 25th. $5. All proceeds go to my sister's place and Survivor X, the average vote. All right.
Any other announcements? Senator Deering?
Okay, so just a reminder again from last week, athletics puts on Mental Health Awareness Week, which is February 12th through the 16th. Monday, we're going to be tabling in Baker, and you have a chance to win a t-shirt if you contribute to our poster, the Mental Health Positivity Week, and/or put an idea that you have to improve mental wellness on campus. Tuesday, which is the 13th, we'll be tabling again in Baker, doing the same thing. And then at 6 p.m. in Keaton on the 2nd floor, there'll be a positive body image presentation by the Assistant Campus Rec Director, Joe Solero. It's going to be focusing on positive body image on our college campus. And that's 6 p.m. next Tuesday, 2nd floor meeting. Wednesday, we're going to be tabling in King, and Athletes and Nutrition Club put together a little healthy recipe book that you can grab and roll out. And then Friday, we are ignore Friday. Thursday was what I talked about last week, which is open mic night. I'll put the time in Slack, but that will be Thursday evening, and that's an inclusive event for everybody that we want to talk about how we can improve mental health and mental well-being on campus.
And thank you, Senator Deering. And once you kind of get feedback, I'd recommend you bring it back to the U-Light Commission and see if we can maybe sponsor some bills and advance the work that athletics is doing to highlight that. That'd be an interesting bill. Any other announcements? Senator Sloat?
The Period Project and Office of Sustainability tomorrow are co-hosting an event at the Women's Center at 6:30. We're going to be doing social media, we're doing crafts and yoga and lots of self-care stuff. And Lydia will be talking about sustainability and periods. Menstruators and non-menstruators welcome, so we hope to see you all over there.
Can you repeat the time?
6:30 tomorrow.
Any other Senator Ayers?
I just wanted to reiterate how awesome Chinese New Year is. So, like Noah said, 3 to 7 Sunday, the students in the Chinese program, we get together and rehearse a song and dance. And yes, I will be up on stage singing in Chinese, which should be incentive enough to pay $10. Aside from that, though, a bunch of cute little kids come and sing in Chinese, and if somebody comes and does like a Tai Chi performance, there's usually a dragon dancer or something like that, ribbon dancing. It's really cool. All the money goes to, most of it goes to the Chinese linguistics program, but then some of it goes to the food and that sort of thing. But it's a really great event, and the last 2 hours is literally just like a big buffet eating from all the different Chinese restaurants around town. It's a great time. Tickets are only $10. You can get them in Baker. If you have any questions about it, feel free to hit me up. I will be there singing a great song with our little chopstick brothers.
Additionally, Commissioner Ramon will be there as well, so it's
nice.
a Senate party.
I was at the rehearsal today for
Wow.
dancing, and
Good job.
it is going to be quite a sight.
Are there any other announcements this evening? Seeing none, we'll move forward. We have 2 presentations tonight. We have students offending students with us this evening. As some of you know, Students Offending Students is a subsidiary of Student Senate. Their office is right across the hall, and I will let Nikki and Molly Cardass present.
Yeah, I don't have a clicker.
might get a clicker or something?
I don't have one.
Okay.
They
so
took,
I'll
the professor took it, yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Hi, everybody. My name is Nick Eaton, and I am the Director of Students Defending Students, and this is my Associate Director, Molly Cardazes. So, yeah, basically we're here tonight because it's been brought to my attention that there are a good majority of you that are either unaware or under-aware of what it is we do. And as a subsidiary of Senate, I would like for everyone to be fully aware of what SDS is and what we provide for the student body. So, yeah, basically I'm just going to give you guys a presentation briefly of what it is we do, and hopefully that'll help in the future when we're looking to pass something through you guys or just coordinate with you in any way. So Molly's going to start it off.
Yeah, so who we are. So we are, as we said, a subsidiary of Student Senate, and we are a student-run nonprofit organization here on campus advocating for students' rights. And students who go through the community standards process here on campus typically come to us, and we advocate on their behalf through the entire process to make sure their rights are upheld. And we are, as I said, a free service.
All right, so what is it exactly that we do? So, I guess I'll take it as like a common student that's going to come to our office. They're going to have been charged with a code of conduct violation, whether that be drinking or having a weapon on campus or a DUI or anything of the above. Someone's going to come in here and they're going to have been referred by community standards and have been charged with a violation of the code of conduct. What we do is we figure out when their next meeting is going to be, and that's typically with a community standards officer where they're going to be bringing charges against them, and we help prepare them for that meeting. So I'm going to talk to them about exactly what their charges are, the typical sanctions for those charges, and the kinds of things they should say in that meeting and how they should present themselves. We also accompany them to these meetings, so if there ever comes a moment where they are straying off course from their story, not story, but exactly what happened, or they are basically saying something that they should not be saying, or if the officer is abridging on any of their rights, I could take a moment with my client and pull them aside and discuss that with them and talk about their options. Furthermore, after these meetings, we can assist them with the appeals process, which is mostly online and through a online kind of written up portion that they're going to submit. And so we're there to basically help them with any of those three things. Oh, there we go.
Okay, so the community standards process. Nick kind of went over this a little bit on the last slide, but I'll kind of reiterate everything. So first, like a student is sent an email and they from community standards, typically referred from like a residence hall or from police here on campus. And we like to reiterate to students that we are not affiliated with the law here on campus. So say you get found in violation for something in a court, that might not happen with community standards, and vice versa. Say you don't get found in violation with the court, you might get in trouble with community standards. And so we do reiterate to that to them. So like step one, they violate the student code of conduct somehow, and they receive their email next, and then they come to us, and then that's when we do the whole prepping process for their first community standards conference. And at the end of the conference, they get to choose to accept or deny responsibility for those charges. And it's important to remember that they're not found in violation until at the end of this meeting of any charges they are given. And then if they decide to deny the charges, we will accompany them and assist them through the entire hearing process. And there's two different types of hearings here on campus. There's an administrative hearing and a university hearing board. And you get the choice between the two only if you're up for suspension. And if you're not up for suspension, you immediately just go to an administrative hearing. So just a little background on community standards here. And then after the hearing, if it goes that far, the resolution of the case, and then it'll be closed, will happen, and then hopefully the student's not suspended.
Okay, so the final question we want to answer is why it's important that Ohio University has a student defender group. First of all, Ohio University is one of the very few schools around the nation that has a student defender group. And I just went to a conference up in Orlando, Florida a few months ago for a group called FIRE. And they are basically pushing every school around the nation to have a group like our own. And the main reasons are, first of all, students are completely unequipped to defend themselves in these meetings. We are trained in the code of conduct. We're trained in the intricacies of this system. We understand the typical sanctions. We know what kind of materials are expected to be brought. We know the dress code that's expected, especially for a student, particularly international students who sometimes cannot even speak English extremely well, are expected to know the code of conduct to a point of which they could defend themselves. It's absolutely ridiculous that anyone would be able to walk in there on their own and be able to state their case clearly and be able to maneuver through this system. Second of all, it's very important that we are providing students with a source of advocacy that's confidential. So anyone that comes into our office, we sign a confidentiality agreement that I will not say to anyone that I know or anyone outside of SDS anything that they tell me about their case. And that's extremely important for them to be able to be open and honest with me about every bit of detail, and that wouldn't be the same if they just picked any advisor outside of SDS. And then finally, we work really hard to keep community standards in check. I meet with the Assistant Director of Community Standards on a monthly basis, and I discuss things such as the standard of evidence, which is lower than it is in a criminal system where it's beyond a reasonable doubt. They are on the preponderance of evidence scale, which basically means like if they think more likely than not the person committed the offense, they're going to be found in violation. These are the kinds of things that I'm discussing and trying to improve on. And then furthermore, the ability of us to be able to give opening statements for our clients, that is recently something that we came to the ability to do. Many of our clients want to be able to speak for themselves and are fully capable of speaking for themselves, but there are times when clients are extremely afraid to go in there and speak their own case. And in those situations, I'm very looking forward to any opportunity where I can step in and speak for them if need be and tell their side of the story. So that is all we have for you, and if you guys have any questions, we can answer those.
Yeah.
Senator Smith?
One thing I've always been a little unsure on is what is the relationship between student services and student legal services?
Yes. Yeah, you can go for it.
Student legal services has to do with actual law, like outside, like OUPD or Athens Police Department. We are just with Ohio University Community Standards. We have nothing to do with the law at all.
Yeah. So like we're not attorneys. If
Yeah,
someone
we're not
comes
attorneys.
in,
We're not trained for that.
yeah, if someone comes in to me and says they got a DUI last night and they'd like to get some information about what's going to happen in the community standards process, I'm going to say, first of all, have you spoken to Pat McGee, because that's more important. So I would give them their card and send them straight to Center for Student Legal Services. But then also I would advise them on the community standards aspect.
And they do that for us too. So sometimes like they go to Pat McGee, like students will go to Pat McGee and then they tell Pat McGee, oh, I also got like a letter or an email from Community Standards. Pat McGee will send them to us. And just like we send people to Pat McGee.
Yes.
Different processes.
Any other questions for SDS? Senator Holbrook?
I think I first looked at the civil rights compliance. I know that sometimes students will have to, if they're accused of sexual misconduct, they can require or request a hearing. So how does that work? Because I know sometimes it's confidential.
You're asking how we work with sexual misconduct cases? So as of about, I think it's 7 years ago, we stopped taking sexual misconduct cases. The reason being is because it is just a tough subject for us to handle, and we don't want to be expected to represent someone when it is to that degree of importance in their lives. Furthermore, it would also be really difficult for the person who is accusing the person who we would be defending. They don't need another 2 people on campus to be in that meeting knowing exactly what went on. So there's just a couple reasons why we don't take those cases. What we do if someone comes into our office is I say, first of all, I can't accompany to your hearing, but I can tell you exactly what the typical sanctions are, and I can kind of guide you through the process and what it's going to be like, but that's the extent of which I can help you here.
We're not fully like trained to deal with sexual misconduct cases at all. So.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all.
Okay, so our next presentation is by the delegation that went to the Ohio Student Government Summit at the University of Akron. John.
What?
Open the slides.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Well, that's what I'm doing. Because I didn't know that you guys.
Lydia did.
Keep my jokes in there.
Either way.
I have some jokes in for everyone.
We're not taking out the floor.
What's our Slack.com?
No, not dad jokes.
Slack Ohio Senate. So I have to get the link.
What is that? It's
I don't have like the link in my Google Drive.
Click sign in.
That's what I have to do.
Lydia, go sign in.
Ohio.
Let Lydia.
Okay, you have the Google. Sorry.
This is so delayed.
I didn't. Oh yeah, that's delayed. Yeah.
Lydia's still in front of the screen. I am. But you're still all the way back there, Mom. Like it's so delayed.
Do you want the Slack?
No, I don't need the Slack anymore.
Verify you.
Oh. No, they're not adding things, we're just logging on.
We're logging on just to the slides. Because I copied them around like 6. So I didn't. I just gotta go.
Oh my God, don't let Todd see my joke.
Oh. Here.
I literally just saw the Slack. Like, that's how much I'm like.
Slack is hard to keep on.
Fine, I'll talk.
Thanks, Lydia. Hit it. What?
All right, are we ready?
Yes.
Are we ready? Yay, we're going to present on this conference we went to. First things first, we got pulled over.
Todd got pulled over.
Todd did jokes. Okay. Okay, so the first session that Landon, Alicia, Zach, and I went to was Student Government Development and Advancement. So this was the Tuckman's team development model that we went over. I don't remember every part of it, but that is why I put together this nice picture for everyone. So it's pretty much when you're putting together your team or your group, the steps that you need to go through. So forming, where you're not really sure what's going on, then storming, where you're coming up with your goals and concepts, then norming, which is where you agree. Usually they come up with a group contract or something, and then performing, when you're actually like delegating and I don't know what I'm trying to say, but doing those things, and then adjourning when you're done with all of it. And then additionally, we talked about communication, accountability, and recognition and motivation. So those were some good things that we should be doing more as leaders to keep our group moving in the right direction. Anything else? Okay.
So the second session that I, myself, John, Amal, and Lydia went to was called Start With the Why, and Amal's going to explain it to me.
Okay, so start with the why. It was interesting and not that interesting. When I say not that interesting, the person that presented was acting president for the student government. And
He talked about falling out of a window at McDonald's when he worked there. It was like,
and like talk about himself a lot, so that's why it was not interesting. But so like start with the why. Essentially, what the presentation was about was just asking yourself the same question of why do you do something. And he talked about it in student government. So a lot of us come here to represent our constituents. We come here to build up our resumes. We come here because we enjoy student government, politics, and whatever. But he always asks why. Why do you do that? And so that's kind of like the what to the how to the why. But rather, you should change it to why for the what and the how. And yeah, and like I guess pursuing a challenge, and you drew this little diagram. But yeah, that was pretty much the presentation. It was okay. Yeah.
It was like a motivational TED Talk. Like it
About himself.
It's very like motivational.
About himself.
what was interesting about it, and the takeaway was, like Amal was started to say, was when you start a project or when you already have projects, they said they went through everything they do, why they do things, and they were like, why do we even do this? And they actually changed a lot because they couldn't figure out why, or the why was just kind of stupid. And so that's what we kind of want to shift all of our projects to do. And so why are we doing this? Or our new projects, why are we going to do this? How it's going to help people, and then what are we going to do? So the second one was, there was only 2, there was 4, but 2 during each hour. And so this was the third session, and it was about communications and public relations. And this was me, Nicole, John, and Zach. You're the computer person.
Okay, so I'm not. So the person that ran this was actually Akron University's PR person or communications director. I don't know what her actual name is.
Megan something. She's great.
Anyways, she is awesome. So we got a lot of good tips from her. So this is pretty much the strategy that she said people should do for PR. So social currency is looking good and smart and in the know so that people will actually want to follow you. Triggers, getting you to do something. So she was using the example of like when you hear peanut butter, you automatically think jelly. So in stores, they usually put jelly next to peanut butter. So when you're putting out things, you want people to have those little triggers. Emotion, she said when people are in awe, that's the strongest emotion, like getting them to want to do something afterwards. Public, easy to access content, have your products show up everywhere. So her example that she did, she had a lot of students that were complaining to Akron about like, oh my gosh, it's so hot in this building, like that leader, this one. So what she did is she went out and bought them all popsicles and Gatorade and brought it to their classroom, which I thought was something really cool that maybe Senate could do when people are complaining, but we'll see. And then practical value was about knowledge, humor, and whatever is of value to the consumer. And then she talked about how stories kind of get people engaged as well. And then the last thing she talked about was crisis management. So if there is something detrimental or dramatic that's happening, the way to go about it is to contact that individual personally, and then instead of like making it this big public thing, but then apologize publicly, if that makes sense.
Go first? Yeah, okay. So this was the diversity inclusion through allyship, and I actually really enjoyed this one. The person that we had come and talk to us came from, do you remember? He came from another school and then moved to Akron. And then, you work here? Oh, he worked at Akron. Okay. So it was pretty interesting. So we first covered like what makes it hard to be an ally, what is an ally, so like the plain definition of it. And then, so we kind of looked at it in terms of student government. How do we become allies to student governments? And then it's pretty much things like this: being aware to your constituents, being there for them, making yourself known, approaching them rather than waiting for them to approach you. Anybody, do you want to build on it?
Yeah, so it was more discussion based. So we basically sat down and were asked like the questions on the screen, and we were talking to multiple different other universities and colleges across Ohio. And basically some like barriers is viewing Senate as establishment and not as a resource. No one really knows where to start when it does come to diversity, and also people who want to be an ally don't want to speak over a group that's currently being marginalized. So we moved on to how can students, government leaders be allies? What is the solution? So we talked about communication, transparency, partnering with student orgs, also diversity committee, which we are already working on. So we are on head of the game, so that's good. Compared to lots of other universities, I feel like we help a lot of other universities with ideas as well. So go us.
Oh yeah. Do you want to do like one?
Do you want me to do something?
Yeah, Alicia can go.
So then we did a round table, and it was just like a bunch of tables with like a mixture of different schools at each table, and they would put up a topic like the freedom of speech and expression, and then we would sit and like talk with each other about how each university is handling it. We thought that all of the topics that they brought up were very outdated.
They were the same ones as last week.
Yeah. So the conversation wasn't as productive as it could have been.
We didn't talk about sexual assault and campus safety, which was like really irritating. Since they're
That's what Nicole really meant when she put so relevant. The issue wasn't irrelevant, it's just the fact that it's been kind of talked to, it's been voted upon, it ended last year, and something that's really relevant right now, like sexual assault and campus safety, wasn't brought up, so we were all kind of pretty disappointed and confused why that was not something that we would be talking about when it's supposed to be relevant issues.
So like in the involvement section, a lot of schools struggle with campus involvement. We have 500 student organizations. It was kind of a different thing. So a lot of schools just said like, how do you get people to show up to events at all? Whereas we deal with far different issues. So they were looking at us like, wow, you get people so passionate that they actually protested, like referring to the bigger 70. A lot of them were surprised that we had students that were that tuned in to politics. So it was like, it's a very big contrast.
We were the biggest student government there. There was one that had like 20 people. Yeah. So, yeah.
Much. Okay. Lots of food.
Pasta.
Okay, so position breakouts, you can see how they were. Executive was Landon, Nicole, and I. And truth be told, there was really nothing that we got out of it. We kind of just went in a circle for an hour and talked about what we did. And it was mainly other schools asking us how we did things and how we made this work and what we can do to make, or what they can do to make their thing better that we had. So again, it was just one of those, like that, one of those times where we're just a lot bigger, we have a lot bigger budget, and we have just a lot more things than other schools do because they're just smaller, and so they didn't have a ton of stuff we did, and they wanted to develop like we did, and they were just very impressed with us. So really it wasn't something that we got out, but it was nice to be able to help others and tell them what we were doing and how to do it.
I know I said I wouldn't talk.
Oh, no, next slide.
But no, I think Zach's totally right. I think the most important thing that I got out of the executive breakout was that we were really able to help other executive teams. We have a lot in common with Wright State. They are a similar size university, similar size student government, and they approached us with issues that they were having, and we kind of gave them our perspective of how we would handle it. And I think they got a lot out of it, and we got a lot out of it because we are noticing that we've had these issues, and addressed them, and then we think we've done a good job of handling them. So that, I think that was the main takeaway from the executive group that I really enjoyed.
All right, my cabinet breakout was myself and Zach Weeks. It was like 5 other chiefs of staffs. And it was really, yeah, there were
Chief
plural.
of staffs.
So it was really interesting to get to hear from them at their campuses and how that role is structured on their universities. I got a couple takeaways, mostly from the efforts of student trustee voting rights on other campuses and the push for them on other campuses. Other than the only school in the state of Ohio that has voting rights are Ohio State's trustees. Some of the other schools felt that that was the way of the future, that student trustee voting rights is going to be a thing across the entire state. So I talked to Wright State about that. That was the only real takeaway I got.
And then Lydia and I went to Cabinet B, which was mostly all like senator at larges, and then it was like Lydia and I commissioners, and we just kind of talked about how like everybody does different things. We talked about elections and how like other people do their elections. I thought one school was really funny, but like they can't say that like they're running. They just say like vote in student government elections and like nothing else. You can only say that. So I thought it was funny. And then we talked about like how they have actual cabinets and they have like commissions and that kind of stuff. But I didn't know if they really got any out of it.
It was really interesting hearing different structures and different senator at larges and how they go about positioning those. They have like a first-year senator, which I thought was really interesting. Lawson did. Also, I was very sad because I was the only environmental affairs commissioner or environmental affairs person there, and no one asked about me at all. So I was really sad. I'm so sorry.
Okay, so I was in the legislative sort of breakout session. It was kind of not anything to do with legislative at all. They kind of asked me like, how is our student government set up, run, what do we do? I think we're only one of like the few student governments that had a judicial panel, like not attached to Senate, but attached in the sense that like they keep us in check, whereas they have like within the same way we have commissions, they have a judicial panel within their commissions that does everything. So a lot of people found that really interesting, and they asked how we set that up and why we do that. And I just kind of explained about like partiality, keeping separate, making sure that we're kept in check. One thing that I found very interesting is so we have like chief of staff and assistant chief of staff. What's the school's name? Oh, Youngstown. Youngstown State has assistant chief of staff, and a parliamentarian, and they have their own judicial panel. So the parliamentarian basically like takes care of like in Senate problems. So kind of what John does when you get a point, or like kind of like I do, taking care of the office. And so that one person was dedicated to that position, which I thought was pretty interesting. But other than that, it was kind of the same thing. Like we were, like especially my round table, I got very, very small schools. And so they just found it pretty interesting to hear how we run our government, how we function as such a big body. But
yeah, he was.
Speaker was not great.
He was not great at all.
I make good jokes.
He was a speaker of the Ohio House. Just really didn't say anything.
Pretty much said if you want to be in like politics, you can't have friends. Everyone will leave you.
Yeah, it was kind of sad.
And like,
he had some stuff going on, I think. So.
Someone asked him,
So you can only trust 5 people.
Yeah, someone asked him like, how do you trust people?
How do you make friends with the question?
You can't.
Are there any questions? I mean, I'll say something in closing. We said this last year as well. All the student governments there, we are so different. And constantly people do want to know how we function, how we operate. The fact that we have 5 diversity and inclusion commissions, which is like 20 people, is unknown to people. And I think the main takeaway is that a lot of people want to know about us, so that we don't get to really talk about like the real issues. Now when we go to the OSGA, when we go there, I think that's when we really get to talk about the issues, but we have made recommendations to Akron for us to be able to present, the student governments to be able to present on how we do things, so we don't talk about structure all day. Because I think if you could talk to every single person there, they had a conversation with one of our representatives to talk about our structure, and then after a while it's just like, good. But I think our main takeaway is that we are doing well. We do have places that we definitely need to work on, but comparatively with those institutions, we are a little bit more advanced because we have been around longer and we have more members than they do. But are there any questions? Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Never mind, go. I thought it was a question.
Okay, additions to the agenda. So I have an addition. I am tabling resolution 1718, 119, 121, and 123. And as sponsor, I can do so, and I don't need a secondary sponsor because of whatnot. But I want to let you all know that I did that before the meeting. So
I'll have a slide
we'll
for
talk
that.
about it next week. The judicial panel needs to work some things out with you before it came to the group. Are there any other additions to the agenda?
I move to add 17. Oh, go ahead, Nicole. Okay. I move to add Senate Resolution 1718-125, a resolution to appoint a member to the Senate Appropriations Commission, to the agenda, to the consent agenda.
All those in favor of that addition to the agenda, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Abstentions? It's added to the agenda. Are there any other additions to the agenda?
I motion to add Senate Resolution 1718-126, a resolution to appoint a senator to the LGBTQA Affairs Commission to the consent agenda.
Okay. All those in favor of the addition to the agenda, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Joe? Abstentions, and it's been added to the agenda. Are there any other additions to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move forward to approval of the previous meeting minutes. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the previous meeting minutes, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Abstentions? The minutes are adopted. Old business, we have none. New business. We have consent items. We have a consent. We have we have a consent agenda on Senator Emeritus and honor status to form that committee, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 appointment resolutions, and 1 amendment to the Constitution. Is there a motion to remove an item or a motion to approve the consent agenda? You may. No, they've already been motioned. Yeah.
Motion to remove Senate Resolution 1718-120 consent agenda.
120?
Yes.
So moved. It does not require a second. So 120 is off the consent agenda. So that leaves resolutions 113 to 118 on the consent agenda. And then the 2 additional appointments. Do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
Okay.
All those in favor of the consent agenda, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Abstentions? The consent agenda is adopted. Okay, so going in order, resolution 1718-112. Okay, Senate Resolution 1718-112, a resolution to purchase office supplies for the student senate office. Whereas primary sponsor, Chairperson Ayers.
Guys, so this is basically all stuff that John and his staff have asked for in the office. This is fair that they should have it. If they were at money, they would send it in the office. They're using, that appreciate it, so here's upon doing of the budget application, review the board's has met all criteria outlined for approval, and
Thank you. Secondary sponsor, Vice Chairperson Hipwell. Okay, I do have a question. I see two separate types of Lysol wipes. I'm
So-
just wondering. Oh,
So this budget includes SDS.
why weren't we able to get the same unit price for them? Or are we not able to get 4 of the cheapest
I'm looking
instead
that up.
of 2 and
right
2?
now.
Which I know it's just like $3, but let's do one.
Yeah, because our office is a lot smaller than ours. So.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Ours are, we do get the larger ones and then like. Okay. Clarifying question. This is for both SDS and the Senate office, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is there any discussion on this resolution? All those in favor of resolution 112, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Abstentions? The resolution is passed. Let me make sure I'm going in order for everyone. We move. Okay, resolution 1718-120, a resolution to amend the election section of the Student Senate Constitution. I do not have this one.
Yeah, you should have it in your consent.
No, John takes out consent from me.
I know for a fact.
Oh wait, we're here. John,
No problem.
they're all the way in the back. A resolution to amend the election section of the Student Senate Constitution. Whereas the Ohio University primary sponsor, myself, was removed, but I am the primary sponsor, and I have said that, am I? Oh, someone removed me. Then I don't need to make a program. So, primary sponsor, Commissioner Clear. No, I
Yeah,
think-
so the committee on Senate reform has met. We're reviewing every single article of the Constitution. I don't think anything's changed for this one, which is why I was going to go to the consent agenda. So I reserve no.
Thank you. Commissioner Ronlo? Treasurer Woods?
Treasurer Woods, I was going off my head.
Vice President Schneider? Yes, so basically, since this is the first constitutional change coming from the committee, I just want to give everyone an outline of what we are doing. There are some changes to the Constitution that aren't necessarily content changes, that are just structural changes. So the elections chapter was all one section. We have broken it up into 4 sections to make it flow better. And that's just a clarifying thing, because some things will not have new content. It's just structurally, the Constitution is really kind of messy, so this kind of makes it more compact. And I reserve the rest of my time. Is there any discussion? Senator Miller?
I just was curious why it was in the consent agenda, and then also just for future reference, it would be helpful if you could put the changes that you made to the document. If you significance from the wording of it. I wasn't quite sure what.
So, I recommend, we were going to do track changes, but it is hard to do so because everything is being moved around so much. And full sake of transparency, I don't think anyone on the committee would do anything to hide anything from the Senate body. So respectfully, that is a little upsetting that Senator Miller would say that about the entire committee. But, yeah. Is there any other discussion on this resolution? Yes, Director Moll. Oh yes, we're doing the entire. We're structurally making everything. Yeah, we're cutting the entire thing. No, we are. Most of the content is being moved around into their own sections, and then we're adding a lot in about like we're going to add in student bill of rights. We're adding in SDS just to make the Constitution a little stronger and mean something to the students because there's nothing really in there that impacts students now. So we're making it more strategic and that students actually have a document they can have and really follow and challenge us.
I just asked because I wasn't sure if structural formatting is the Constitution was prettier before going through the process of approaching the Board of Trustees about changing the Constitution, which is a required something, and also putting it up to go to the entire student body, actually saying the rest of that, which is also required. But thank you, and it's something.
Any other discussion on this resolution? It's been moved and seconded to vote on this. Chief of Staff Schlosser.
So can you outline to everybody about the process of the constitutional amendments? Because I know there's people in the room that don't understand how we amend our Constitution.
Yeah. So we are on a fairly accelerated timeline because we have to get everything to the Board of Trustees, but we also need everything to be approved by the student body. So over the next 2 weeks, the last meeting being that we can vote on things is the 21st. So this week we should have everything into the judicial panel. We will have a working meeting on the 19th so everyone can get questions out. And then, because we want amendments to happen, but we don't want amendments to happen at the 21st meeting because then that would cause us to potentially not get things passed and then not be able to vote on them and then not get them to the Board of Trustees. Content-wise, there is nothing really super dramatic, but you all are entitled to your own opinion about what should be added and what shouldn't. And additionally, what you think should be added if you think we're missing anything. So, like I said, the structure will go, Senate will get things next Wednesday, and the 21st, that 19th will be the working meeting. We will send we will have open forums on the 26th and 27th. We will have a student-wide vote on the 28th. That's a Wednesday when you normally meet, but we'll be at the State House. And then after that vote, we will put everything together, give it to the Board of Trustees March 5th. That's when their agenda is due. And then they meet on March 22nd, and I will present on what we have to them. Because by our Constitution, they must approve our Constitution. So that's kind of our outline. And if anyone wants to talk about that at all, we can. I have a timeline. I'll put that on BoardSync so everyone knows kind of what's going on. We were going to do a referendum originally, but because of timelines about how everything has come to be, we really didn't have enough time to do everything. Senator Bunn.
Changes to the Constitution after the
It's actually against our Constitution to think for election changes to go through the referendum. It has to be called an election. But we will be titling it as Student Senate Constitutional Changes Election, just because we don't want to throw people off by calling it an election for Student Senate. It will just kind of throw some people off. But that is what the Chief Justice has requested we do. Are there any other questions? Thank you. Yes, Chief Justice.
Yeah, we've had conversations about this, but can you explain to everybody why we're doing it separately from the election period? So instead of having one election, we're having two elections.
Just based off the fact that the new Constitution will probably be about 15 pages. The student body, I would hope, they would read it, the entire thing. I am afraid that they would not, and then by the time they click on the Constitution and they skim it or whatnot, by the time they then get to the ballot questions of who to vote for, they will become distracted, not finish it. And we did have problems 2 years ago of constitutional amendments. When you click on the link, it would take you to the wrong changes. That was Courtney's election year, and they had to void like 150 votes. And I don't want an error like that for that to happen. Additionally, it will educate students on our voting system, and they will better understand how to operate it when they do vote in elections in April. Anything else? Oh yes, it was moved and seconded to vote on the resolution. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. Yes, we are at 22. Senate Resolution 1718-122, a resolution to amend the Student Senate Constitution to add a section about students defending students. Whereas, Commissioner Clear.
Yeah, so we wanted to solidify SDS a little bit more in our Constitution, so we added a section describing what they do and their role in the Senate. So I recommend you pass this, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Commissioner Romo.
This has substitution because we do a lot. They're really important, so it would be tough.
President Woods. Vice President Schneider.
Taylor Schneider, I reserve the balance of my time.
Next is me. Yeah, so Students Defending Students has been around almost as long as we have. Like they said tonight, they are an entity within us, but they are like the judicial panel, they are removed. We as a committee thought that it would be wise to give them a little bit more institutional strength, since this has to be approved by the Board of Trustees, that they be a recognized organization to be able to advocate for students. It will give them a little bit more leeway to be able to communicate to university personnel, because they would then be a chartered organization by the university. So I reserve the option. Any other discussions on this resolution? This addition to the Constitution. It's been seconded. It's been moved and seconded to vote on this resolution. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Opposed? Okay. Abstentions? The resolution passes. Senate Resolution 1718-124. Sorry. A resolution to amend the preamble of the Student Senate Constitution. Whereas the Ohio University Commissioner Commissioner Clear.
Yes, with this, when we were meeting, we wanted to redo the preamble so that it extended not only to Student Senate, but also to students of Ohio University. So it's a little bit more inclusive and encompasses all parts of Ohio University, not just what Student Senate stands for. So I think it's a little bit more robust than the current preamble that we have. And I reserve the balance of my time.
Commissioner Romo. Treasurer Woods. Vice President Schneider.
Taylor Schneider, I reserve the balance of my time.
I'm up next. We did add a couple things in there. The first sentence, we the students of Ohio University, we added that because this is their constitution, something that they, as I had said before, should be able to follow and go by. And as Senator Miller stated, I do realize that I should have put the existing preamble at the bottom, so I do apologize about that. And then moving forward, we will include the other things, even though it might not make sense, we will continue to add those. But the preamble, like I said, it is strengthens the student's right to call on us to do things, and tells the board and other university entities that as students, these are things that we want our student government to do for us. I reserve the balance of my time. Any discussion on this resolution? It's been moved and seconded to vote on this resolution. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. Senate Bill 1718-113, the bill of support for Ohio House Bill 160, the Ohio Fairness Act. I do have to designate a president pro tempore, and I will nominate Commissioner Clear as the president pro temp. I'm kind of giving all the seniors away. Don't do that.
Primary sponsor, President Landon Lab.
Yes, so I'm the primary sponsor on this because being that I brought it to the body to vote on. President Nels at President's Cabinet on Monday mentioned it to the group that this is something he will be signing a letter on, and that he recommended all the Senate present and pass something. So the primary sponsor, the secondary sponsors, and myself, we whipped something up super quick. We got it, on the agenda, and GSS passed a similar resolution Tuesday night. But I think this is a really positive step moving forward. Sadly, it's taken a very long time for this to be added to state statutes. We are a university that has had this on the books before the Supreme Court made their decision on same-sex marriage. So it's moving our state, I believe, in the right direction, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Secondary sponsor, Chief of Staff Slauson.
So I think this bill is an issue of civil rights. I don't think it's pretty debatable that you can vote against it. I think it outlines that you can't be discriminated because of your sexual identity or your sexual orientation or your gender identity. I think that Ohio University is already doing this and leading the nation. I think it just codifies what we're doing. And I reserve the balance of my time.
Commissioner Burke.
Yeah, I think it's kind of ridiculous that it's taking until 2018 for this to happen, but I'm really happy that hopefully it will pass. And I'm really proud that my state senator back home was the primary sponsor of this bill. It was awesome. So, state rep, but yeah, nice.
Commissioner Burke. Senator Ayers.
So I just wanted to tell you guys a little story. I was in the LGBT center the day that this news broke and this was passed, and there were some kids who were really excited because they were seeing kids who were going to be employed in the state. I just want to sort of emphasize the importance that, if I were to become employed in the state of Ohio, it is much more important that I get fired based on not doing my job well rather than my sexual orientation. Which just gives a vote of confidence to that, and certainly our constituents in the LGBT community are going to vote in favor. So please do. I was like, balance my time.
Thank you, Senator Ayers. Senator Miller.
Yeah, going off what Senator Burke said, it really is shocking that this hasn't been on our laws already. I just think it's really important that when you look at this bill, you don't look at polarizing issues that are community, but really put yourself in the shoes of the person who this is directly affecting. The fact that the person that you love could be the reason that you lose your job, that's truly ridiculous. And I really found that.
Thank you, Senator Miller. Senator Jones.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I echo everything that everybody has said so far. I think this bill is really important, and I feel it's imperative that it's
Thank you, Senator Jones. Senator Thomas.
I echo everything everyone else said. I do think the bill is
personally love like reading on my legislation. You can easily go online and like look at councils like this, and it's like, I mean, they're like hundreds of pages long usually, but they give to us as some of this equivalent in bolding or fortifying your knowledge of that college.
Thank you, Senator Thomas. Historian Reyes.
Yeah, so one thing that I do want to touch upon is that we live in a nation where equal opportunity is supposed to be the main goal, and for the past few hundred years it has never been. And I think that we're getting closer to the point where equality and justice is not a question of, is this invading my personal life, or is it telling me too much? I think that this is a very important first step to an even bigger goal. And I would look forward to that.
Thank you, Historian Pettis. Is there any debate on this bill? Seeing none.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just to point out that this has not been passed in the House yet, but it is on the floor and is looking like the vote will be very soon. So just as a quick note for that.
Thanks for moving and seconded. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Abstentions? It passes.
Senate Bill 1718, 14 is Senate Bill for the Senate Bill is support for the tax exemption of college textbooks, and I have to designate President Pro Tempore for this, and I have designated Senator Miller as President Pro Tempore. Yes, so we passed a very similar bill last year in Senate. I was on a conference call with the OSGA president last week, and they requested that we pass something again as a united front and send it to Chairman Duffy to get it moving forward. I would just like to point out that this is not the end of the road. That publishers will still increase prices. I think the most important line in this bill is that we will ask the Board of Trustees to do a similar resolution. I have a meeting next week with the Secretary for the Board, and I'll be asking him to put something on their agenda or to at least have a discussion about it. I think it's really powerful if our board follows what we do. Other boards, like Wright State and Ohio State, have adopted similar resolutions. I think if they want to be political, our board should be getting political as well. But as you all know, removing the tax status isn't going to be the only thing that makes college affordable. We need to do more to make better access to open educational resources, addressing high costs of other tools that allow us to get our education, such as Hackback, and other services like Connect Book costs, things like that. And I reserve the balance of my time.
Yeah, so Commissioner Mamone brought this up to us last semester, but it was around the same time as the menstrual products tax was going through, or to remove that tax. So we were really focused on that when we were told that this didn't have legs. So it kind of like sat on the back burner for a little bit, but now it's getting more traction. So that's why we're supporting it. I reserve the balance of time.
Treasurer Woods.
I just want to do what Lindley and Nicole said, and also reiterate that we said during our top level we're going to try and lower student costs. That's what we're going to do. So, I'm going to get everyone to do the pushing after this, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Commissioner Clear? I echo everything that the exec said, so I reserve the balance. Senator McLeod. Senator Flatt?
I echo what everyone said, and I would like to again stress that, as people have said before, this is a serious process, but us doing everything we can to make education more affordable is really important, and even if it's just saving a few dollars a semester or whatever, it means a lot to a lot of families. There are a lot of people who
I agree with everything that has been said, and I reserve the balance of my time.
This is the worst time of year for me because of how expensive it is. And it's kind of disgusting how much a book costs. A piece of paper with a binder. And, good for the stuff. Really balance my time.
Is there any debate on this stuff?
There is Everybody in the room right now is like, geez Louise, what could you possibly have to say about this? This should be something that we are going in here and supporting wholeheartedly. Matt, what the hell do you have to say? We have seen tax cuts unlike any in American history across the board. Big tax cuts, the biggest tax cuts in U.S. history. All right. Our public libraries haven't had a funding increase since Bill Clinton was president. And we've already passed a bill talking about feminine hygiene products. I'm calling me a traditionalist. I'm for tax exemption on food, water, medicine, etc. Secondary education, not so much. It's $20 million is the estimate that I read, lost revenue. Compare that to the feminine hygiene tax exemption of $5 million that I read. But regardless, so I think when we're talking about where we want taxes cut, and if we're going to support tax cuts for all these things, then we're also going to go, well, you guys aren't doing enough for the libraries or the schools and the roads. Think about what you want taxes cut on. I mean, it's a sales tax. It's 7%. Go to Chipotle, get it to go. Instead of dining in, however you get to go and eating, and we'll pay sales tax on that. I already heard that.
Sorry, y'all. There are a lot of hands up. I think this is clear.
Yeah, so I totally understand what you're saying, Matt. But textbooks are a necessity for students. I can't go into a class and be like, sorry, I can't get it because I don't have money. Also, when you're looking at $300 textbooks, 8% tax, that's about $20 that you can spend shopping for groceries or going to Chipotle 2.5 times. I think when you put it in perspective, yes, it's just sales tax, but it's also a very large purchase, therefore the sales tax is a lot.
What other programs or that is happening? I mean, I'm pretty ignorant to politics, so.
You mean in regard specifically to books?
No, because you say you're all for tax cuts on water and medicine.
Well, that's already taxed. That's all that's.
No, but in comparison to things that are being discussed currently, is this?
There's a bunch of weird things, and race car parts are tax exempt. There's a huge list that I got looking for here. Of ridiculous things that should be tax exempt that are, I think, like I said, I'm a traditionalist. I think water, food, medicine.
So in your opinion, if you say that everything else on the floor at the moment are crazy things or ridiculous that shouldn't be tax exempt, where does this stand?
In terms of ridiculousness, the race car part is good. But just because it's not as ridiculous as some of the other things doesn't mean that we should necessarily support it. Just because it affects us. Granted, that $20 is nice in our pockets, but we're not put on sales tax. So textbooks, but that's $20 that's getting taken from our food voucher programs, from our roads, things like that. So you got to think about it as more of a general fund, I think, than we're doing right now.
Thank you both for that. Next on the list, I'd like Chief Staff Slaughter.
Yeah, so my proxy agrees with this bill, but I'm going to speak as John, not as my proxy. I echo what Matt says, that we've supported similar tax exemption bills in the past, specifically one on feminine care products that we agreed with. But he said that it would be a trade-off when he gave that legislative analysis. If we support this, we're probably not going to support the textbook initiative when it comes up. And as a non-voting member, I supported the first bill that we passed. I'm just saying that we should probably listen to our governmental affairs commissioner, whose job is to keep up with legislation like this. I reserve the balance of my time.
I'm sorry, we're going to make a motion for debate rules for the sake of time for 5 minutes.
Oh, all those in favor of limiting debate to 5 minutes, please raise your hand. Great. All those opposed? All those abstained? Great. Passes through. Next was Senator Hanzaki.
So I do agree with the pretense of this bill, but as Matt said, I do have some concerns about the loss of tax revenue, primarily to smaller counties that need it. Especially, I think Athens makes a good amount of money on textbooks. If you were from like a smaller county, you kind of need it. I'm not saying like I'm entirely against this bill, but I think there should be a trade-off, maybe having a loophole, a sales tax loophole eliminated so that I can offset this. So maybe that could be said, that could be talked to the other customers. I'm not entirely opposed to it, but at the same time, there should be a trade-off.
Thank you. Assistant Chief of Staff.
I was just going to say that at this point, honestly, looking at tax, so we just run from the buy, we just got taxed, and so this is the first time I've ever seen it, especially sales tax, and I agree with Commissioner Moe saying, and I understand that, especially with Senator Hunter, it's not about needing money to small constituents, not small counties, but at the end of the day, I honestly think it's unfair as a college student walking in and not only having to pay $120 for an online connect code, but then being forced to buy the textbook, even though I have an online version of it and paying sales tax on top. I get that we're taking less money from food programs, but college is getting more expensive. And we're a very wealthy institution to have a 4-year guarantee. Others don't. And so we just need to put in perspective that we're trying to get more people in first generation into college, and without removing tax from textbooks, it's only getting harder. And we're only opening up the gap between education. Honestly, I can't see that.
Great. Thank you so much. Commissioner Moore? So I'd like to go off of Commissioner Gary's point today. He said $20, but that's $20 for one textbook. That's $40 that you're saving if you buy 2 textbooks at full price. If you look at a full year, that's $100 that you're saving. That's $100 that I'm spending on food. That's 2 months of groceries for me. We're talking about, that we're taking this money out of the food stamp program. This is money that I can then spend on food, I also wanted to point out that Ohio seems to not think clothing is a necessity because you put sales tax. Could I even walk around the Vegas for the past 4.5 years or what? If you're going to start with taxing necessities, I would say, or with taking taxes off necessities, take taxes off clothing, but taking taxes off of education, especially with the growing need for educated people in the workforce, is a really, really great step.
Senator McCann?
I wanted to say a point to something that Matt said. I understand where you're coming from, but there's really a big difference between a lot of us in this room who are lucky enough to have our parents pay for our education, having $20 in our pocket, and having my friends in high school, sometimes I have in high school, sometimes I have here, who have had to drop out for a year or more because they can't afford to go to college because their Pell Grants don't cover enough for their education. And that's a big point to make because this will be affecting a lot of people who maybe could have stayed in school for longer and graduated on time if they were able to have money. So I think that was a good point.
Thank you. Jordan Perez.
Yeah, there's a growing need for more and more people to get educated. It's not a matter of, it's like a high school degree if you get a bachelor's degree. No, it shouldn't matter about how it's going to affect the workforce, that people want to get educated and better life and get out of holes that the economy has put them. Also, another point that I would like to make is that with all the tax cuts for a lot of agencies and a lot of other things that are outside of the military that the U.S. is currently doing, we are still trillions of dollars in debt with all of these great tax cuts. And also, we still have billions and billions and billions of dollars in the military-industrial complexes only fueling us into a deeper hole. So I think that the U.S. wants to create college affordability. Why don't we redistribute funds from the military? But I'm just a college student. I'm not in some big government agency, so I don't know what I'm talking about. So that's just my point, and I deserve the balance of my time.
Motion to extend debate.
How long is happening here?
I don't know, man.
Right now we are at 30 seconds. So how about another meeting?
I would strongly recommend to the President Pro Tem that we ask the people speaking to please not repeat other speakers, to stay with ditto, and to let the remaining speakers on the list speak. Yes, she has a list.
Move to extend the date to let the rest of the people on staff speak.
All those in favor?
Oh, I'm sorry, I have a question. Are you allowing direct responses?
Sure, yes.
And how long would each speaker like to speak?
Let's do 30 seconds direct response.
And individual responses?
Let's do 45 seconds. Second.
I move to, for that motion.
All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Great. Next on the list is Senator Fox.
Yeah, I want to echo first what Matt was saying. Then, if we want to cut down on costs for people attending college and getting books for their education, then why don't we start by trying to cut down on the cost of the bills instead of taking away from the money that's going to go towards, like infrastructure and community taxes.
Senator Burke, like to direct response.
I'm just curious what
That would entail, like,
right now this is a bill to lower the cost by making it tax exempt. So I'm just curious where you would see actually lowering the cost.
yeah, go ahead with this one.
I just don't see how productive it is to take away funding from our state government when we're complaining about $20 taxes when the book costs up to $300. I think we should look. I don't necessarily have a solution. I'm not saying that I do, but I just think we should look to other places first. So if we could cut down on some money going to a company, cut their profit margin a little bit, I'd rather do that than
And I would like to directly respond.
Yeah.
I totally agree, Senator Fox, but I would like to say that the money going into the state isn't even helping us as students. They have not increased the state share of instruction for years. It's stayed 0%, so I don't know why we need to give the state any more money when we don't see solid plans for infrastructure. We don't see solid plans for that $20 million. But I totally agree, like I said, when I sponsored this resolution, we need to do more to pressure publishers. Ohio University is doing, thank you.
Commissioner Lamont?
It's a direct response to the cable. The best analogy I think before, if you're talking about lowering the cost of healthcare, this is getting rid of the medical device tax, where the broader solution would be to tax the highway.
Senator Fox, do you have anything to respond?
I would say, yeah, maybe as students we might not see certain benefits from the state directly from the taxes, but as people living in Ohio, we do see benefits of the taxes. I use those occasionally. Local, state, and federal.
I do.
Next on the list, we have VP Knight.
Oh, yes. As a civil engineer, so roads are only maintained through gas tax, so that has nothing to do with this.
Okay, so I was wondering, does anybody actually know how much money from the state is given to the university and for students for financial support? This isn't rhetorical.
You're asking for the state to go to the university to research, or?
Like the state funds things at the university and gives money for financial support for students.
So the state is funding for operations of the university. The federal government gives specific funding to students, every $1,000.
You said 19?
The state share of instruction is 19-ish% of our operating budget. Whatever the remaining is.
Because I'm wondering if we take that number and divide it by the amount of students, what that number is compared to the amount made in textbook costs. So if we get rid of the textbook tax, would that end up taking more funding from students?
Depending on all that data on the student and our website.
Another point just to bring out is that proportionally the state funding has not increased as our numbers have increased, which is kind of an issue. Those numbers are in the most recent new budget. If you have questions about, I have the whole thing written out.
Additionally onto that, when Vice President Schaefer was here, she outlined what the criteria is for how we get increased money, and I can share that presentation with anyone. And along with Senator Ayers, if anyone wants to talk about the budget book, which is 200 pages, and that I'm a member of Budget Committee, I'm more than happy to talk with anyone about our university finance.
Man, these budgets are so tricky, okay?
I just think that there's unforeseen consequences that could happen. Is if we make textbooks tax exempt, that publishers aren't going to feel like they need to lower the cost of the book since we're already getting money that's from that everyone. So I think that could be a potential consequence of, that we should be having a conversation of we need to lower the price of these books just straight up and not need to tax them. Because I don't think there's someone who wants to go to college who's not going to go to college anymore because we're paying tax on the
Evans, like, direct your response?
I'm kind of confused on where everyone's talking about like taking the price of the books. Is it really in our control to do so, or is it like in the public?
No, it's not my control. That's why what's in our control is, if we want to support this, and if we do support it, some publishers aren't going to want to lower the tax, lower the price of the books, because we're not taxing them.
I would like to directly respond. I would say that everyone, I think, is kind of on the same page somehow in some things, but I would recommend that if we do want to go the route of passing this bill, that we introduce a similar bill asking Ohio University to choose smart companies when going with publishers that look out for the students. I think we can do both by passing both bills. It's really interesting to hear the Ohio State's perspective on why they passed this bill and why their board of trustees did as well. But I would really recommend to go.
Senator Evans, direct your response.
Yeah, thank you, President Coachman, for this debate is a prime example of factionalism. Is this like cultural science idea of like minorities code fighting? The reason that the state taxes have been decreasing, the state income taxes have been decreasing over the last few years is because our governor has repeatedly cut income taxes, especially at the level of the upper 1%, and within corporations' massive tax rates.
I also want to direct your response. Sure. So, Landon, I suggested go look into the works in 2015-2016 Senate. President Baca headed and passed at the time a resolution calling for a textbook cost initiative committee. The university currently has resources from multiple areas, faculty, staff, library, and what have you, working on various textbook cost initiatives. President Kasser is also part of that committee and worked with them, on some of those initiatives. And so it's still going, and so that was the perfect segue.
I would like to respond. I think I would agree with that as well, and I would also recommend that we table this until we can vote on those. I move the table vote and I give this resolution.
Second, Michael. It's been motioned and seconded to table this bill. All those in favor, please raise your hand.
Senator, you may vote.
Someone counting my votes for that?
No, we will just go to the opposed and see what the opposed say.
Okay. Are all those opposed to tabling the bill?
So fast. Cool thing. It's still fast.
I
And
just want to throw it out there. I have a lot of resources from like I've taken 3 public budgeting classes, and one of them was over taxes. So if you guys want resources, please let me know. But taxes are very complex and they're not something we're taught about. So let me know and I can send some stuff your way if you're interested in learning more about how awful that is.
Additionally onto that, I really appreciate the robust discussion. I know that it is 8:45, but I think it's really good that we continue to have these conversations. It shows how diverse we are in our opinions. I appreciate Senator Holbrook for offering that up, and I would still recommend that if anyone wants to talk to me as primary sponsor or sponsors on that bill, to please do so after the meeting. We will still be bringing that forward to the body next week, and I should put in the bill collaboration sheet a bill asking Ohio University to do more to favor publishers that look out for students. So that will be in the works, but I just recommend you all start to talk more among commissions about everything. So just go ahead and keep having those good conversations. Commission reports. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Commission reports. Are there SAC Commissioner Clee?
Thank you. So in the consent agenda, we filled 2 positions on SAC. So we have Eva and we have Andrew sitting back there. Andrew's new to SAC. Also, Zach and I were talking, and we have a lot of projects that are both internal and external for money. So we added Clancy to our team as well to kind of help us do those projects. So really excited to have all 3 of them and hopefully have a really good end of the semester for SAC.
Any other commissioners with a report? Minority Affairs Commissioner Mueller.
So, lots of cool projects going on. We are maybe working on an initiative with STARS. We're maybe working on an initiative for accessibility. And we're still working on small orgs. So, 17 years small orgs, darn it. This is what's in the newsletter, which is great. Make sure people see it and send them my way.
Commissioner Ramon, Governmental Affairs.
We've been reaching out to members of the Ways and Means Committee, which is the for a visit to go out there and harass them about House Bill 61, see what's going on. We'll have to keep dragging with House Bill 61. But the House Bill 61, which is the feminine hygiene tax exemption, they're just, if you follow the news coverage of it at all, it's sickening. So we're going to go out there and really try to help these people. I hope that that's what we can focus on with right there. But that's not what we're doing right now.
Residence Lake Commissioner Lundy Morris.
So something that Green Light ran on was giving computer sectors in the lobby of Red Hall. And I had a meeting yesterday with Lee Chester, the housing license person. And we are going to launch a pilot program in Bromley Hall next semester with a computer engineer, which is pretty awesome. And if it goes well, then they'll spread it to other places. There'll also be 1 in the New South Pole renovation and 1 in the West Nest. And then there's still 1 in Central and 1 in the North.
Before I forget, it's come to my attention that on Senate Bill 1718-12 there was a no vote, and I would like the record to reflect that. Any other commissioners with a report? Seeing none, we'll move forward to Senate committee reports. Are there any internal committee chairs that have a report? Moving on to university committee reports. Senator Holbrook, what committee are you on?
I'm on the Paxton committee. We look at the
Paxton is what?
The Presidential Advisory Committee on Sexual Misconduct. And within that, I'm on the subcommittee that focuses on procedures and policies. So one of the things that we're looking at right now is the university's policy on consent and what that looks like. Something I'm running into that's kind of I was not expecting is currently there are only 2 students that serve on that subcommittee. The rest are faculty or staff. And that's beneficial because something that came up in the survey last year was that a lot of students feel more threatened by people that teach them, people who are in positions of power rather than by another student. But so it is very hard kind of having those conversations of how these
things impact students. If you're being removed from a classroom because of your professor, what does that mean for your GPA? What does that mean for your academic achievement? So that's something that I'm working on, and we'll keep you updated as we move forward.
Maybe we could get a bill passed on what we think the consent policy could be, and we can take it to that subcommittee and say, there may be 2 of us on this committee, but here are 56 voting members who believe this is what we should do. Thank you. Director Knoll, what committee are you on?
I sit on the Park Place Planning and Strategy Work Group, as you're listening. But I've updated you all a couple times throughout last semester, and I wanted to let you know that over winter break, this group's course changed pretty radically. So we are only meeting 2 more times for the rest of this semester, and that is because the university and the planning department have brought in an outside consultant. It is the same group and the same consultants that work with the university on the master plan. So they like the work that they did with the master plan and trusted them to come back in on the issue of deciding what to do with that Park Place corridor is what they're calling it, but it's essentially from the top of Morton Hill all the way down past Alden and the Presidential House, Baker Center, and then all of the small houses in between. And so this committee works with the city. They're also members of Athens City Council on it. And so the group is working to decide what the best utilization of that space is, what kind of things they'd like to see, and who would be inside or placed inside the small houses, the Presidential House, all of those things that are for us. Yeah. That's a great question. Yeah, it is different from the small house group. So the way that it operated last semester was every other meeting, the small house planning group would join us and we would discuss our ideas together. Now what's going to happen is the small house planning group has just about wrapped up with their work from what I understand. And so they are presenting their ideas or their plan, their proposal to the Board of Trustees at their final meeting, either in March or again in June. And then what these consultants will do is bring a proposal back to our work group in March. We will evaluate it, give our feedback on the consensus proposal, and then if the work group likes it, to the best of my understanding, it will go to the larger community and the Board of Trustees. So a lot of that work that we're doing is kind of taken out of the small house group and the Park Place group, and now our role is pretty much just to give feedback and to help spread the information. And then when the planning department and these consultants decide that they have come up with a proposal that they like, we'll see it, we'll work with the Board of Trustees. Does that make sense?
Cool. Thank you. Any other committee reports? Oh, I do have one. I serve on the Joint Police Advisory Council. We did a city safety tour last Thursday. One of the points did overlap with the university, and it was I requested that we go behind Bryant Hall and look at the lighting. It was so dark they didn't even know where the path began. So they sent in a formal request asking for 2 additional lights. So that is a very positive move. So, and additionally, I got an update from the Deputy Safety Service Director for the city talking about lights on Mulberry Street. Mulberry is the street behind Bentley. There is a light added on the city's property, which is kind of the embankment. They have another pole up. It does not have electricity, but they do have plans to route electricity, and they do have a light to affix to it. So that is a very positive update from when we had our own safety walk. And on to that, I'll be scheduling an internal safety walk for us to all go on, or whoever wants to go, so we can point out things. The group last time was really big, and some things they get overlooked, so if we can go kind of in a smaller Senate group, point out things and send in formal recommendations, I think that would go a little bit better. Yeah. Any other committee reports? Yes, Commissioner Burke. What committee are you on? Oh, that's fine. You can do it during my report instead. JCAP. Any other committee reports? Seeing none, we'll move forward to executive president's report. I do have one thing. Well, hang on, you can go ahead.
Oh, well, so there's an event that is March 21st, and it's called the Women Women's Achievement Dinner. And the reason why I'm bringing it up now is that there are like nominations for achievement awards that will be accepted until February 16th. So that's next Friday. Which is why I wanted to bring it up tonight. Once I know a little bit more information, I'll bring it up next Wednesday, but just wanted to have it on everyone's radar. Yeah, I can put it in the
You have a question? No. Yeah, go ahead. Report for all.
Alright, I have
Go ahead, Senator Jones.
Other than those and John Jones, next week we will apply for that vaccine in the daycare 2:30. UDLSA will be like a local body meeting. Undergraduate is back to the 2:30. UDLSA come up with a body meeting. We got keyboard, communication, programs will be out in this country.
Anyone else want to? Okay. Thank you for that, all three of you. Additionally, so the bill collaboration form, statewide this past week, like I said I would do. I think it's a really good way for everyone to throw out bill ideas if they want to have a bill. You know, if you don't know what you want to call the bill, but you want to put in the summary what you want it to be, just put it in there. Sponsors can sign up. I'd recommend you look at it about after the general body meeting, kind of look at it, and then generally speaking, if you're a primary sponsor, kind of cut off your sponsors list on that Sunday so you can formulate everything and get everything to John by 5 p.m. So we do apologize about the agenda taking so long this week, but we did have a lot that we needed to discuss. But I want to really see, increased collaboration amongst commissions, and I'd really like to see almost every commission kind of sponsor their own bill. So we can increase the number of bills we have, because it's a really accurate way to show how we are serving our student body, and that we have passed 12 this year, and I think that is really good, but I would like to see that increase. Additionally, President Nellis emailed everyone out today saying that there's a new vice president for university advancement, Nico Karzowski from Cincinnati. He's a great candidate. I went through all the forms and sent President Nellis my formal recommendation, and I recommended Nico. I think he'll do a great job for this university, and I think the most important thing for us as seniors and you as undergrads is to get actively involved with all alumni groups on the campus, because the main question that comes up is how do we make our students feel like active alumni when they graduate and not burdened to give money when we are busy paying back our debt. So really, I would recommend, and if he's able, I'm going to have him come to one of our last meetings. So that's that. Additionally, I was invited to the American Israeli Political Affairs Committee free of charge, and I think it's my duty to inform you all that I was invited to this event, because I'm going so because I'm a student government president. And if anyone is opposed to me going to this event, I would ask that you reach out. It is a fairly political event, and I'm inclined to go, but if you all as my senators and as speakers of the student body, I'd ask that if you do not think that is something that Ohio University should get involved with, that you please alert me by email by Friday, because it being free, I will go. So please just let me know. I want to make sure that I'm speaking for all people of Ohio University. So please let me know about that. Additionally, I know I said I only have like one thing, but I always remember things. We launched the Bobcat Student Grievance Form. We have received a decent amount of student complaints concerning campus safety and transportation. I received an email at 3 a.m. on Saturday. It was 7 pages long about their experience with the late loop and the CATS. Commissioner Clear and I had a experience with the loop this morning. So I just recommend that you let your constituents know this is a formal process, because I frequently will email commissioners and forward you all their complaints. And I think it's just really important that we get more people. We want to be that resource for them to complain to, so they're not just
going out on Twitter and complaining to no one, but we can actually affect that change because we have people on committees like everyone has talked about, and we can be loud and pass a bill and we can do some press releases. So I think that's really important. And that is the end of my report. Vice President Schneider.
All right. First, I want to say thank you for everyone discussing issues tonight. And even if your opinion is different than everyone else in the room, I want to thank you for always voicing that opinion or standing up for the people that you think you represent. I think it's great that we actually have differences of opinions and we respect that. It's great that people question, the execs question other senators, and I want everyone to feel encouraged to keep doing that. Next, so as Landon was saying, we've been dealing with some issues with the late loop. So we've had a few students email Dr. Hall Jones, and then she sends them over to Landon, and there's all these strong complaints, like he was saying, and online we see a lot of complaints too. So in our commissioner meeting last week, we decided we were going to go to parking and transportation with all this student feedback, and so part of that is we created a little petition. And so what we want is for senators or whoever wants to get involved to actually go out there and talk to students. I know it's crazy, we're going to talk to the students and have them sign this petition if they are in favor of having a late night loop that would hit major parts of campus. So I printed out a bunch of these. If anybody wants to take one, go ahead and do that. If you don't know how to approach a student, there's plenty of senators who have bothered students to register to vote and everything else. Raise your hands. Yeah. What? Yeah.
I just have a quick question. Could you share some of complaints that students have been saying? Do you have any off the top of your head?
With the late loop?
Yeah.
So the one that we got most recently was a couple that was uptown. They had called and they'd used the late loop before, and then the late loop person was like, "Oh, well, we'll be there in a little bit," and so they went out when the bus car was supposed to be there.
There is a distinction between late loop and the late night service. Late loop is the actual bus, and then late night is the cat. So it is very confusing. Parking and transportation services is a very confusing department on campus, and that's something we're trying to address.
So it was the cat cab that they were calling.
Because I worked there, so I was kind of
Yeah. Cool. So we can definitely connect with you because it came a whole hour later than it was supposed to, and so they hour and a half, and so they were stuck outside for a while, and then they were trying to get to the bottom of the problem. So we not so much we want them to get to the bottom of the problem, but we want to find a solution for them instead. So maybe having a different bus would be the solution. And then another student's complaint was they have to park up at the ridges, and then coming down to the ridges late at night, it's dark. They couldn't get any transportation. So if we had a late night loop that could go all the way up there, that would be helpful as well. So those are just two of the complaints that we got. Next, along with complaints, so like I said, we're trying to get that Bobcat Student Network video going, but I need everyone's help. If you are on Twitter and you see any students complaining or just voicing concerns about things with the university, whether it's just about Bentley being too hot or they are mad they didn't get a snow day, go ahead and screenshot that and send it in to me. Be a little schemer, send it in to me and I can put it in this video. It's hard for me to just collect based on my own friend group, so it'd be great if everyone else could start collecting those. Yeah.
Would it be wrong or to add press to the classes? Are you allowed to do that?
Yeah, I think you can do that. If you stand up in the beginning of your class and just say, hey, this is something I'm working on for students, through Student Senate, ask your professor first. Yeah, they can email them first. But usually they're fine with that. I know during campaigns they're usually fine with you stand up to talk to, so this shouldn't be different.
We can attach a script if you're comfortable with that too. And I believe it's going to be online as well.
Yeah, we're working on that. It can be any. So I think it can be any, and then we can just include them because we still want to make sure that we're directing them in the right direction. So just anything you see, and then we can sort through all that. Okay, so then sorry, I have a lot of reports today. So with campus lighting, I know Lynn talked about that a little bit too. So if you saw in the Senate office, there's this whiteboard that I scribbled all over to figure out where we need more campus lighting. So Chief Powers sent us a report at the end of last semester about all the sexual assaults that have been reported on campus over the last 5 years. And out of those where they could identify where the location was, 13 of those happened outside during nighttime hours, which was our main concern about getting better lighting in different areas. So I did a cross of where students have told us they're concerned and where the sexual assaults have happened. And so far the biggest connection is Jeff Hill. So there were 3 different sexual assaults that happened on or near Jeff Hill, and then that's also student concern. So I am trying to reach out to Dr. Hall Jones and Chief Powers to ask about getting at least one light there so we can have something to start with. And then another concern, Chief Powers said that they would be more inclined to have cameras on campus. So if we put a camera near the graffiti wall, because 2 sexual assaults happened there, and this would also help the issue we had at the beginning of the year and last year, and I think the year before that, about really offensive, hateful speech that was on the wall. So that's the progress there. And I think that's, tabling. So to talk about campus lighting and the late loop, we're going to table Friday 10 to 11 a.m. So if you're free then, let me know. You can come table with me. I'll be there. And then next Tuesday, or this upcoming Tuesday, 4 to 5 p.m. So if you're interested in talking to students, and you don't want to go out there bothering them in the college green, you can do it in Baker, and it's inside, and we'll be outside too. So that's end of my report. Friday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., and Tuesday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. So this is something that Amani, didn't you talk to her about it at the beginning of the year?
I had no ago, but there were like some restrictions, and then like one of the main problems is you can't really tell the difference between like paid speech and people speech.
Yeah.
So that's like that was one of the things we didn't talk about in the last like like have like a law professor or like somebody who's like educating the subject on like explain the difference. And yeah, it's an area for free speech, but when it turns towards compromising safety of a specific constituency, and that's when you can like start regulating a little bit more. But if you are hiding it under the guise of like physical safety or sexual assault, then you start speaking.
Let me add on to that.
Yes.
So when I spoke to Dr. Hall Jones, I will clarify what Mike said, and I will also say that they were also concerned, if this was set towards a specific person, then yes, they could go after that. They could go after it, but if it wasn't, just like towards a group, or just a specific ethnic group or anything like that, they would not be able to file charges. So there is some, I think we're about to there.
Yeah. And I think we're allowed to have that camera on, but nobody's going to be monitoring it unless an incident happens, then they can go back and look at the tapes or whatever. So
There may be also a sign that would say.
yeah.
There is a very formal process for requesting the camera. It's called the Surveillance Oversight Committee, which I'm a member of, and we will ensure that it's proper. We'll break down. Yeah, lots of committees for lots of things. So. Cool. Any reports?
Two things to talk about real pretty quick. So I sent an email out to all commissioners, one with that already have events, so like Pride Week Sex Week, Environmental Justice Summit, Possible Porta Potties, Fest, Student Safety. Please email us back. I've only had one of you. I would really like to talk to you about that because the budgets are coming up. We have a full budget, all of you still, for 4 of those events too, and we can still get budgets for the rest of you. And I want to kind of plan it out before it gets right there, and me and Tyler's going around with the trying to figure out how to get this event. So please come and talk to me, and also to the other half of the commissioners that know about maybe creating your own projects. I think that'd be a really great time. You can pull in other commissioners you want to talk with about the lab, and obviously bring in Nicole, since she's kind of and so, email me back. So the next thing I want to talk about is discretionary. So my discretionary is kind of like really about $20 off in it, and a lot of that's because of unforeseen expenses, like the cable in the office, and printing just switched over because we don't have a TV. The printing just switched over, and we now had to pay like $500 for the last printing fee. And so Todd and I are kind of working that out. And so also because every time that everyone's on a budget and those resolutions come up, you say this is what you're spending, well, because of tips or taxes or whatever, it goes over, that money has to come out of somewhere. And so the first semester that will come out in discretionary, well, that's now gone. And so you really have to start planning and make sure you think about tip and stuff. Just so you know, our university policy is 20%. So just think of that every time it's like pizza and stuff. But just plan that in, because if it doesn't, it will come out of your discretionary. Like I tried to do with the passive, because I have nowhere else to take it from. Discretionaries, it's week 4 now, somewhere between now and week 8, depending on how the big pot of funds goes. I will be auditing that and we will be full account depending on how much we spend until the end. We don't spend any, we'll keep those, but whatever's left, so if you want to spend it and use it. If you have a specific thing, we're going to use it for later on the semester. You always do, like SAC uses it, you get food, you're going to have to sit in meetings all day for annual funding. Please let me know and I will make sure that I keep the call and use that, but if not, I'll be taking it back and go to the big pot funds for a little bit. So Puerto Rico, as you can see, when I give the numbers, that number is no longer up there. Todd and I gave that today, and that went. And so that went to the thank you. I'm actually going to yield to Senator Sotomayor. House about when we asked about finding a new charity or fundraiser to go to. She came out and gave us a great one, and she just explained where we said it. So that'd be great.
Well, basically the organization that he's sending money to, he's basically he's like a radio host. So he's very, very important in Puerto Rico because he's always pointing out like political and other controversial things that happen. I'm not into that. But most importantly, he is one of the only people that actually has set missions to the countryside, which are the hardest parts that actually got hit because of the hurricane, and that actually have been ignored with some of the money that actually has been coming to Puerto Rico. So hopefully with this money, this organization can actually keep on doing its work, and hopefully everyone can finally have decent status.
That's really awesome. If you want to look more into it, you can obviously get talk to Sarah. So yes, I have the name of it right here. But I always said French, so I'm not going to say it. So for the numbers, one last thing, I just wanted to say I'm really excited about all the SAC projects. We're signing a full commission now. Haley and I and the rest of the commission are working really well together in a lot of things planned. Really excited about it. And also, I know it's longer meeting tonight, it's hot, but I'm really happy to see the great conversation during the day. Everyone participating, not how it went down. You know, it's longer than the meetings that we've had the past weeks, but as you probably did from last semester, that's your name. As I said, it is we talk, we get things done, do it together, and I was really close to tonight. And so to the numbers, so as you can see, they are different. That O, or not O anymore, just 1 O and 8 O. So the 8 O is gone, and the total fund is gone as well. So the educational and general fund, that's just what we had, was $20,036.13 allocated but not yet spent. That's all those projects. $13,972.27 not allocated nor spent. $6,063.86. And SACIA $41,108.81. And we fund we had $50,567.87. Those numbers are true and accurate to the best of my knowledge.
All right. One thing that Zach said, that SAC almost has a full commission. We just had somebody in SAC step down today. So if you have anybody that is interested in joining SAC, please urge them to apply. I know Haley will want them to apply. My update can be reduced to an email, so I don't want to take all of your time up. So expect an email soon. Assistant Chief of Staff, I'm all of you.
I know I talked about this a lot, but I just cleaned out the entire office the last 2 days. I'm not kidding. If you guys have the deposit, I will find you. You keep the office clean. If you spill coffee grounds, clean it up. That's all I ask.
She's not here.
Alright, I just moved on
couple of things. First and foremost, I want to explain a little bit why Dr. Pina hasn't been with us. He is currently teaching a graduate class for the College Student Personnel Program every Wednesday evening, so he will not be joining you all for the rest of the semester. So just expect that when you come in here. Yeah, that's basic. The advocacy event. So you kind of Wednesday, February 28th, Senate is canceled. We will be going to the State House for that. If you are interested in attending, the link will be put into the Slack. Please RSVP on that because that is how we will determine the head count for transportation. Transportation will be provided a week after a head count, so we can pay for that. If that handle with the alumni will know who's coming as well. So there's a deadline on there. No, there's not a deadline. Just RSVP ASAP because we do need those transportation numbers put in so that Jenny and I can order the vehicles for you all. And then lastly, I just want to remind everybody that these meetings are live streamed. So anything you say, whether it's a joke or whether it's about anyone else, can be recorded on live stream. So just be cognizant of that because I want you all to represent yourselves as professionally and as great as you truly are. And would hate for anyone to have a dated idea of how Senate is internally when it comes to talking negatively or making the wrong comments. Not saying anything tonight to fit that category. I just want to keep that in your guys' mind now that we have the live stream back on YouTube because we're no longer banned. Awesome. Other than that, please keep up on your projects. Have a fun and safe. I'm out of town for the rest. What's up?
What time is the advocacy? Like what time are we leaving?
It's in the meeting description.
Okay.
It will be there. Other than that, if there's no questions, go about that.
So we, pursuant to the Student Senate Rules and Procedures, we must enter executive session to do a executive evaluations for the President, Chief of Staff, Vice President, and Treasurer. I am now going to make the Clerk of Court President Pro Temp, and I would ask that all non-voting members, actually no, all Senate members stay in the room, all non-Senate members, which includes the media, leave the room, and the executives be reviewed. John will lay out how you all are getting the evaluations.
Yeah, so on the Slack channel, there's going to be a link. It has a little description that says what to do. Director Penny is the one who designed the Qualtrics survey. It's just like last time, but instead of paper form, you didn't have to print out 100 papers. It's on the Qualtrics survey. So just give us your feedback. We take it very seriously. It's right now, right there. Oh, yeah. I have to edit this way. Okay. Is this your phone or is this Lando's? This looks like it's probably Lando's.